dealing with the symbolism rationally or reasonably, it goes right past your brainwaves or whatever and goes to the seat of who you are in terms of how you've been socialized in whatever country you're from. And I'd just like to hear what you have to say about that, because she said specifically that it's targeted more for, and it obviously is, towards white Americans. I'm rounding it up. It's targeted more towards white Americans, and so what we're going to see is some very interesting changes as Barack, if hopefully he does become president. What are your thoughts?
Dr. Ridley.
Yeah, that's a very good question. The point of it is, this is the new dynamic, the manipulation of symbol systems. And it's not well known as an academic discipline, or we don't even understand it as a lay population. But it's so important, and like anything else, I have to say this, the academic world, they want to hide this from us. They don't want us to understand. But symbols decide our behavior patterns. And it's been happening since early history and antiquity. And the Barack instance is a perfect example of that symbolic manipulation. Because remember, symbols produce mythology. And to really misrepresent someone, the symbol system is a perfect vehicle to do that. And they're doing that on a continual basis, on every single level, every single academic discipline. And this is why it's extremely important to understand the dynamics of symbolism, the dynamics of symptoms, and how they interact with each other. And if you don't understand that kind of dynamic, then you have extreme difficulty in all disciplines and indeed behavior.
And Dr. Ridley, can you offer us some books, writers, authors that we in this audience could, get some information to wise up, as you suggested?
Well, the #1 book, I think, is the one I've written. It's called... That's right. That's why he's here. It's called, my latest book is called The Golden Apple, Changing the Structure of Civilization. The one before that is called Symbolism Revisited, Notes on a Symptomatic Thought Process. And then the one before that is called An African Answer, The Key to Global Productivity, all published by Africa World Press. I think you can't go wrong by reading those three.
Next question.
Yes, this is to the entire panel. My question is whether or not you view the paradigm of post-civil rights generation as synonymous with post-racial America, this new political paradigm that has been introduced. And I think it's relevant to a number of issues that you've touched on.
Go ahead, Kelly.
That's a really great question, because how do I even start with this? When I began and I said how post-civil rights generation, I know that there are people who have qualms with that terminology. If people have qualms with that terminology, post-racial is like a Pandora's box of qualms. And I think with legitimate reason, because for instance, whenever I see people write that Barack Obama is a post-racial candidate, I'm not really sure how that's possible, because race still exists, and it's still a factor. It's still the fact that they even have to write the line says that it exists. And so, I mean, the civil rights movement is considered a specific snapshot in history. So I think a post-civil rights generation, while there's still a civil rights agenda, I think that that's a legitimate terminology. But post-racial, I'm not really sure how you can be post-racial anything when race still exists and is still part of the conversation. That's just my own personal opinion. That doesn't change the fact that tomorrow you're going to probably pick up a newspaper and see someone write about Barack Obama's post-racial candidacy for the 3 millionth time or whatever.
Let me respond to that question, because I've written a couple of books dealing with the post-civil rights era. Post-civil rights era was effectively the era of 1980, when the nation took a dramatic shift, a dramatic cultural shift in its racial attitude in its civil rights attitude and basically sought to actively deconstruct the gains of the civil rights movement. That year was 1980 when Ronald Reagan was elected. That was the year that Ronald Reagan is the first president in the history of the United States to actively deconstruct the gains of the civil rights movement. And so that is essentially called the post-civil rights period. Okay? Now, this post-racial business, and we did a panel on this here last year, and then I moderated. And I think that what's important for us to understand is that anytime anything African Americans do has become mainstream, in order to give it popular appeal, they have to cross it over. Okay? Whether you want to call it from R&B to pop, I never really understood the difference between R&B and pop. All I know is that white people bought pop and they didn't buy R&B. Okay? In the context of the panel that we had last year, the panel discussed this group of artists who suddenly gained popularity for their art, black artists, and they were defining them as post-racial, meaning it wasn't seen as black art, just art done by black artists. Now, you tell me what the difference is, okay? And so at the end of the day, I think it's a codification, you know, to help people who really don't want to deal with race, give them a justification as to why that they will support black people or people of color or something that is non-European.
Post-racial, it's like when people, I'm sure you've read this before, where someone will say, I don't look at Barack Obama and see a black man, or what have you. And you go, oh, you might need glasses. I don't know.
No, that's an outward denial that you really don't want to acknowledge that you're embracing something racial. So you say, well, it's really post-racial because he's not really black anyway. You know, I'm only looking at the white side, right? Okay. Okay, next question.
All right.
Dr. Ridley, you have a response on that? She wants to hear from you.
Yeah, I really don't believe in a post-racial scenario. I think there's really no such thing, you know, and you have to be deaf, dumb, and blind to believe in that. So, I mean, this thing about I don't see color, you're right, you know, are we blind, you know? The fact is that color is a reality, and we do have to deal with it.
Okay, yeah. We
Any
got a few
person-
more minutes. Go ahead, brother.
Any person of greater knowledge, any person of great knowledge and intelligence is greater than his people. My question is, will the new order continue with Barack Obama will be a part, or will Barack Obama be a part of the new world order? Because the new world order is going around this world, and it seems like that's one thing we fail to understand. Even as the black president, will Barack Obama, would he continue the path of Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon, or would he travel a different path? Because the way he's going right now, he's going on the path that other people have written for him, rather than make his own path for himself.
Okay, we have 2 minutes. I'm going to let you guys take 1 minute each. Kelly, you first, and then Dr. Ridley.
I'm sorry, what's...
Is Barack Obama part of the New World Order? And if he is, what does that represent?
Well, look, I think that remains to be seen. I do think that, you know, he's talked a lot about the fact that he wants his candidacy to not be as partisan as, and his leadership model to not be as partisan, but he hasn't been elected yet. I think that we'll be able to better answer that question once he's actually in office and we see some of the policies he enacts and their impact on various communities.
Okay,
Got
Dr.
1 minute?
Ridley.
Yeah, that's important once he's in office, and then we see what he will do qualitatively. And that's the important thing. What will he do qualitatively? So he can say anything he wants to until he becomes president. But once he becomes in office, then his behavior will decide, you know, how productive he will be and how long he will live.
Well, let me say that I think that in the context of a new world order, all the new world order represented was a shift from multilateralism to unilateralism. The United States is no longer going to be a hegemon or a sole world power. You see the rise of China. You see the rise of other nations in which they are going to have a global leader. Barack Obama represents a global leader in that context. Now, whether or not the systems that historically have promoted the Eurocentrism or white supremacy continue to perpetuate in that same sense with a black man as the head of the nation. That's, I think, what most of us would be watching for as to whether he can change the systems that have historically perpetuated inequality in our nation. With that, we're going to wrap our panel. Our authors, please give them a round of applause.
For more information about the Harlem Book Fair, visit their website at qbr.com and click Harlem Book Fair.
Up next, Leonard Susskind talks about his disagreements with physicist Stephen Hawking regarding the nature of black holes. The two scientists, along with a third from Holland, have argued about the topic for over 2 decades.